Welcome to the People Leaders Podcast, the audio resource for managers and business leaders creating high-performing teams. Join leadership and team development experts Jan and Michelle Turkelson each week as they explore both subjects from every angle. Through practical tips, valuable insights, and compelling interviews with leadership experts around the world, you'll learn how to bring out the best in your staff and how to give your best as a leader.
Hi, Michelle.
Hi, Jan. How are you?
I'm very well, but I'm very excited about this podcast. I know we say that about a lot of them. However, this is dear to my heart because we have a financial expert on, and this has been an area that I'm putting my hand up that I'm excited and challenged by. So I'm really looking forward to inviting our financial wellness guest on, and I've got some juicy questions, haven't we, Michelle? We've got some juicy questions for Vivian. So Vivian is a financial wellness coach. Who thought, what a needed asset. And over the past 10 years, Vivian has accumulated an abundance of financial knowledge in property, superannuation, and the financial advice industry. Her areas of expertise are life coaching, wealth creation, budgeting, protection planning, debt management, investment, retirement planning. And her mission is to empower people to achieve financial wellness by supporting them to really have a healthy relationship with money. And she does that through the coaching and workshops and all this great stuff. And she's worked with some of the top tier companies in Australia, Melbourne's #1 financial advisory firm, Verse, ANZ. So we're just really excited to invite Vivian Goh on the podcast. Welcome, Vivian.
Welcome.
Oh, thank you so much, Jen. That was some intro. Thank you.
So as I said before, I'm really interested in this topic, and it's not just me. There are lots of people who are interested in, their financial well-being, and I just love that term, because well-being is mental, emotional, physical well-being. And just reading some of the stats that you shared is that 49% of Australians say that personal finance is the #1 cause of stress in their life. That's amazing. And then the other stat that I just wanted to share with people is that financially stressed employees take an additional 2.5 days off sick leave annually on average. So you can really see the impact that this has on people. So these stats really make a case for what you do, Vivian. Like, what situations do you find most of your clients in?
Yeah, it's quite a lot to take in, isn't it? Because I think a lot of people, we find money such a taboo topic, and and even if we go into social environments, we always hear how well people are doing, but people are not really sharing the truth. What's the true story, what's going on their everyday lives. And here are the real stats. Like 49% of people are really feeling stress about their personal finances. And it's not our individual fault, it's collectively, even as a system, we haven't been brought up in focusing on money as a real important piece of education. So, for example, even for myself, when I graduated from university with a finance degree, I had no clue what to do with my personal finances. And I find out the same with clients, regardless if they're a CFO of a company, if they work in finance. Crazily is that AMP did a research on the top 5 industry. Finance, people that work in finance is one of the top industry that really stress about money. Wow. So it really requires us to now challenge our assumptions about, everyone else is doing better, or people in finance actually know more. It's now to bring the topic in and now ask ourselves the question, like, how do I want to relate with money? That's really, really important.
Yeah.
What a great question. How do I want to relate to money?
That's right. And Vivian, it is interesting because we were talking to somebody today about stress being such a pervasive issue in the workplace at the moment. However, it looks like, one of the biggest causes for the stress that people are experiencing is their finance. And so if we can share some sort of light on, how to move people into a better place, then that's a really good service, I think, we're doing for the Australian workforce. And I was just thinking, Vivian, you're really well known for helping clients live their best life by working with them and the actual resources that they do have. Could you give us an example of that?
Yeah, sure. So about living the best life. So it's actually a funny thing. A lot of people would probably start with, I think clients will come with, a set of goals, and I want to achieve these goals, and this is going to leave, this is a part of living my best life. But actually, if we ask further questions, living best life have to do more with what they truly value in their life. So the value the person has that money could give or provide, more of it. So for example, when clients sit down with me, first thing is we actually explore their beliefs, any assumptions that are actually blocking their way of getting ahead financially. Yeah. It could be as simple as not being able to pay off a credit card debt. For example, a client of mine has always thought that if she pay off a credit card debt, she would not have her emergency fund. So she bought into that assumption that a credit card debt is her emergency fund. So she don't want to get rid of it. So when we kind of explore that, that's a false belief. It's not helping her with the situation. So the first thing is to find out if there's any assumptions, and all of us do. There's a little bit of bias, and some of them don't help us at all. Is actually getting in of the way. And then the second thing is to then find out what they truly value in life. Because sometimes I have clients coming going, I want to buy a house. That's my goal. But when we ask about what they truly value in their lifestyle, it's actually freedom. It's actually, going overseas to visit your family that's overseas, twice a year, for example, like things they truly value, family. And it has nothing to do with buying a home in an area they don't want to live. It's just, a built-in assumption. So that is what I do. That's the core. So once that's really clear and out of the way, then I help clients, coach them to make really good informed financial decisions with unbiased information.
Gosh, you must hear a lot of aha moments, or must when you actually dig a little bit deeper and challenge people's assumptions. And do you find that do people get surprised by their answers once you do unpack everything?
Oh yeah, absolutely. In the first session itself, it's already transformative, because in my first session it's crazy because you might think a financial wellness coach, I get clients getting all their statements ready, and it's like, okay, I'm going to show, I'm going to share with her, like, my budget, my superannuation. And actually in the first session, I'm like, let's just put all of that aside. We will use that eventually. Let's just explore. And we just explore your beliefs and assumptions, and a lot of huge aha moments, a lot of emotional moments as well. So
how powerful. That's fabulous.
And also, I suppose, like seeing it from another perspective, like seeing your finances from another perspective, because that's what a coach does, doesn't it? Challenges assumptions and gets you to view things from a different perspective. So one of the questions that I wanted to ask you that just came up now is, can you share an example of someone that you've actually turned their financial life around, by working through a process?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So usually the biggest changes happens with clients that are unable to even meet financial security. So just to protect a client's identity, let's just name her Jenny. So I have a client, Jenny, came to me for 2 years, unable to pay off her credit card debt. Whenever she gets to pay it off, it comes back. It lingers around. Earning good income, decent income, a good human being, have really good values, enjoy spending time with friends, but just continuously feel like they're trading water on the same financial situation. And she had goals of saving for a house, buying a block of land so that she can build her own house, but that just seems so far away, and that goal is putting more stress on her because every single time she thinks about the goal, it just feels so far away. So when we initially sat down, I think the first thing for anyone is the determination to want to change, and ready to seek help and do things differently. And that's what she did. And most of the clients that come to me do the same thing. They are ready for change. So we sat down, we explore her values, and then set goals that are aligned with values. So that's really important because, I shared with you before, clients sometimes say they want to buy a house, but it doesn't align with your values. But for her, it was spot on. It was close to her family. She loves her pets. She wants a big area that she can, live in with her pets, and close to wineries, like things she really loves. So everything was really aligned with what she wanted. And she wanted, usually clients that come to me initially, control over their finances. Yeah. So what I do is once we have all those with her, once we have those values and goals set up, and then I'll provide them with a structure to get their budget in place. Because budgeting, I think a lot of people, it's a tricky one, because budgeting most of the time brings a lot of negative emotions for clients.
Yeah, because they really have to look at things, don't they? Like, you really have to, you can't avoid it when you're, setting a budget. You actually have to admit that, oh, well, I am spending all this money on dinners or whatever it is.
Yeah. So initially it is like that. But if you think about it, what budgeting really, really is, it's what I call is a simple money flow. It's awareness of how much is coming in and how much is going out. And that's it. That's what budgeting is. Bringing awareness to that, regardless of whether, putting aside the self-judgment, just being aware of that. And then from there, if you have clear values and goals, like for herself, we set up a structure to help her to be able to make decisions based on here and now. So what I mean by that is a lot of people, when they look at budgeting, there's three main pitfalls usually. One is they look at it too short term. So they look at it on a weekly basis. That's too short, because if you have a bill, like a big rego or something that's coming through, that's going to, pull you back again in the same spot. So looking at it in long term, a year, it's really important. She did that. So with the budgeting system, that was good. Second thing is, a lot of people have a budgeting system that actually look in the past, only look at what happened in the past. So the simple money flow plan that I have is incorporating the past, but also helping clients to have a separate bucket that's going to help them to make decisions based on here and now. So they have like a fund and splurge fund that's replenished on a weekly basis. That's going to help them to make decisions here and now, instead of should I spend on this? Not really. Oh no, I overspent, and that was last week. Like it just builds up so much shame, guilt. So it's really important that you have a budgeting system that's building awareness, not just on the past, but here and now. That's very, very important.
Yeah,
love that.
Sounds so practical. That's
I know,
great.
but actually doing it with someone, and you can sit down and do a budget. However, when you do it with someone, there's a little bit of an accountability process with that. So, I love that idea.
Yeah.
Yep. So could you share with us like an inside tip for our listeners so that, that they can understand their finances a little bit better? Or what could they do to understand their finances?
So are you talking about
Yeah.
people who have got money, Michelle?
Yeah, a little
Yeah.
bit of extra money. Yeah. What could they do?
Okay.
So yeah, that's a great question. So like for Jenny, for example, once you get to a point, I think just a budgeting tip that I gave before, that's if you follow those few steps, you'll find yourself eventually saving more than before. You start to build up some funds. And nowadays there's so many different options for growing your money. And one of the things that I think a lot of people are not aware of, if you have a few thousand saved up, you might think if you want to start investing, either you don't have enough knowledge or you need more than just, a few thousand in your bank account. But there is something called a robo-advise, which is a new technology. It's not that new, okay? It's been around for 4 years in Australia, for close to 5 years, and a decade in America. But what it does is it's basically a digitally enhanced investment solution. So it's an online, something that you can do online, and it's like an advisor that is helping you to develop a portfolio based on the questions you've answered about your personal circumstances, your budget, your your experience with investments, and they will use an algorithm to populate a portfolio that's low cost, tailored to you, and it will help you to achieve your goal. And they will educate you along the way as well. So that's really, yeah.
And so can we have a link? We'll set up a link in our show notes so people can actually go to that site and inquire. Is that what they would do then, Vivian?
Yeah, so what you can do is, because robo-advice firms, there's more than a dozen in Australia at the moment.
Right.
So
okay.
Robo-advice, it's like the term for bank, and then you have the big four banks and other banks. So robo-advice, it's an investment, online investment. It's a name for an online investment advisor. Mm-hmm. And there's about 12 of them. So if you type in robo-advice Australia, you find that companies like StockSpot, number one, they were the first one in Australia. Six Park, Quiet Growth, for example. Quiet Growth is a company that allows you to invest anything less than 10,000 for free. So if you you want to start investing,
less than 10,000.
Yeah. So there is a minimum, but if you have a couple of thousand and you have your basic finances like budgeting, all that sorted out, you're clear about your goals, that's the next step that you could actually look at.
Wonderful. So what are the 3 highest value habits? Because we're all about habits here, like being high value actions, high value habits that anyone can start doing that will really help their financial well-being. What would you say they would be, Vivian?
Yeah. First thing is figure out what you can control and what you can't. Mm-hmm. That's really, really important. Every time you look at your finances, just realize what you can control, what you can't, and what you know and you don't know. So from there, then you can figure out like your next step and next step and next step. So it's incredibly important because one of the things is it's easy when something we don't know about and we just go, oh yeah, it's too hard, or that person, to put the blame on something else. I think it's really important to take back that control. So develop a habit of figuring out what is in your control and what's not, and what you can do about it. That's the number one. a second thing is, I think I mentioned it before, assumptions.
Mm.
It's really challenging your assumptions. Like, I think one of the things that you could do is really effective. I've done this in the past for myself, for not just my finances, but for my personal life too, is to actually journal or write down any thoughts or emotions you have about money and see if there's actually a pattern.
Oh, I think that's a fantastic tip, because we love the idea of journaling as well. That reflective exercise can really give you some insight into what's going on inside when you get it out on paper. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you start after a week, you'll see really strong patterns usually. Yeah. Things like, it's too hard. It's too hard. If you find a pattern, what you do is you kind of question, do I know this is true? Is this really true? Can I be absolutely 100% this is true? Actually, I'm not sure. Okay, find out. Find out what is the first step you need to know to know if this is true. So just that self is really, really powerful. And I do that with clients all the time.
Ditto.
That's wonderful.
Great question.
Yeah, so the habits are be clear about what you can control and what you can't control. And we usually say things like control the controllables. Yeah. The second is check or challenge your assumptions. And the third is start a money journal to just check your beliefs and what you actually think and feel about money. I think they're fantastic habits that people can start to work on.
Yeah. And one thing as well, Jen and Michelle, the reason why I mention all these three is also because it's not based on a recent research by one of the professors that is a pioneer in financial well-being research. So she's been doing it for decades. In one of her research in 2017 is that they were trying to figure out what are the components that actually determine a person's financial well-being. And financial knowledge was has a really small positive correlation to a person's financial well-being. Now, that's really important because a lot of us thought if we know more, we would be financially well. No, that's not the case. And the craziest thing, like even financial numeracy, they found that there was a negative correlation in particularly into credit management, which is managing debt. But the largest component that has a direct effect on the financial well-being of the person is the social economic environment. Yeah. So we all grow up in different environments, and we build up different beliefs based on our parents, the suburb we grow in, our friends that we hang out. So same thing with money. So we build assumptions along the way from people around us, and a lot of times we forget to question them.
I love that. So the biggest impact is your social economic environment. Yeah. So I'm putting you on the spot, but can you remember who the researcher was, the professor?
Professor Kempson and her team. So if you type in Professor Kempson and financial well-being, she'll pop up.
Wonderful. Oh, and it's a woman, even better.
So Vivian, what are you working on at the moment?
Yeah, lots.
I bet.
Yeah, lots at the moment. So at this stage, because I've been doing so much one-on-one work for a long time, so now I'm collating all of that information to really put the message out there, provide help to more people. So I'm also now working on with corporates or small businesses on a financial wellness program. So basically it's a program that you can roll out in your company where you'll get support on lunch and learn workshops and also one-on-one coaching if your employees wanted to help them to improve their financial well-being. And I think that's such an important component, because as an employer as well, like if you can say, if you come and work with us, one of the things that we would support you, and eventually maybe in the future guarantee all employees, is that they have some specific level of financial well-being. So I've developed a measurement or assessment of 3 stages of financial well-being. So there's financial security, financial independence, and financial contribution. So if you think about the stages itself, it's quite similar to Maslow hierarchy of needs.
Yeah.
Yep. Because that's how humans being are. Once we get the foundations of security, which includes, no high interest debt, being able to save, live comfortably with, the paycheck you're having, have an emergency plan. If anything happens, you don't have to worry, about it. Like that in itself, that forms financial security. And if employers can guarantee, if you come work with us, we want to make sure that you at least achieve financial security. Now that's something pretty special. I think.
What a value.
Exactly. I worked for Lend-Lease many, many years ago, and they had a financial services department set up because there was a profit sharing scheme, and everybody had access to a financial planner, but it was an in-house financial planner. So there were no fees that, were given to banks, and it was such a value add, and the reputation of Lend-Lease was extraordinary because of that. And I was just thinking, if that's the number one cause of stress for a lot of people, then what a great sort of, giving back that the organisation is providing to its employees. It's ticks so many boxes, Vivian.
So how can these organisations find you, Vivian? Because they've been knocking on your door, girl.
Yeah, so they can find me on my website. You can visit my website, simplewealthcoaching.com.au. And I'm guessing this podcast would have a link to my website as well. Yeah, so, and you can get in touch via email as well, vivian@simplewealthcoaching.com.au. But look, I'm super friendly. Just give me a call. I think we all sometimes choose to just shoot an email. So if you really want to get in touch, I would say, just give me a call. I am in UK at the moment, so but I'll be back. So but get in touch with me, really. I'm happy to have a chat.
Well, you've made such a compelling case for it. I think this has just been wonderful interview. The biggest takeaway for me is this bringing awareness to the flow of money coming in and coming out, and just saying it that way as opposed to budgeting doesn't make it scary. So I've taken
there's no judgment.
I love it. That's my biggest takeaway. How about you, Michelle?
My biggest takeaway was, let's start with your values. Let's start at the very beginning, start at the foundation, as opposed to, because that's how I imagine, you bring in all your bank statements and your spreadsheets and that sort of thing. And it just feels like such a natural way to evolve that process. So I think that's wonderful.
So wrapping up, Vivian, is there anything else that you would like to share with our listeners before we wrap this segment up?
Anything else? There's so much. So, but I think I've shared enough. And if anyone really wants to get in touch, shoot me an email, give me a call. I'll be more than happy to help, because I'm not only working on the corporate side as well. I do one-on-one from referrals, and that's actually where most of the business usually comes from. It's like someone experiencing going through the process and go, actually you should see Vivian too. Like they'll go out and talk to their friends. That's
great.
Get in touch.
That's great. Thank you, Vivian. We really appreciate it, and we've learned so much, haven't we, Michelle? That was really good. Thank you.
Okay.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode of the People Leaders Podcast. For show notes and other resources, please visit us at peopleleaderspodcast.com. And while you're there, you can subscribe for future episodes so you can continue your own leadership journey. And please be sure to share this and other episodes with your friends and colleagues. The People Leaders Podcast is brought to you by the Experts on Air Podcast Network.